live. Thank you so much for the cast of hosts being with us today. I really, really appreciate it. So we are Nyx. We're a women-led horror collective. So this is our inaugural piece for our Nyx Live 2020 season. So I couldn't be happier that you guys have joined us today and taken time out of your, I'm sure you're incredibly busy schedule nowadays. So I really, really appreciate it. So I just wanted to welcome all of you here. And I think really my first, I guess, question to all of you is, the host is fucking huge, man. It's amazing. How are all of you dealing with how big it's become? Whoever wants to go.
I don't know if it's actually really hit me yet. I mean, I know that like more and more people are tweeting us and we're in all these different media things, but it's like, maybe it's because we've been at home so much. I'm still kind of at home a lot of the time, and keeping going out to a minimum. So for me, it's like still at home. My Twitter's a bit more busy, but you know, it's weird.
I think we were waiting for like the live sort of the screenings that we're gonna have. One of them being this Friday. But yeah, we've literally shot the film. I mean, I'm in the same position that I shot the film in. And then also doing, you know, interviews with wonderful people like you guys, and then also emailing back people is literally from this space. So it is that, what Emma's saying, it is that kind of like, it doesn't quite feel real because we've not really shifted from the position that we are in. We've not had the wonderful thing that you get when you're around people is the, you know, face-to-face interaction, which I mean, we're all super excited to get.
Yeah, for me, I think I was really overwhelmed right in the beginning, like the first 2 weeks when it blew out. I was not ready for this because nobody was expecting this. So I was just like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with all this. And now, like, because we've, like, the girls are obviously like awesome friends as well. We managed to kind of talk through this, like, everything that's happening. And yeah, and then I feel much better now. I'm in a much better place right now. I'm very, very happy. Haley?
Yeah, it's been, I think like everyone's saying, it just really hasn't hit us yet because we haven't, you know, been out and about. We haven't been going to see people like we normally would to help promote the film or to just see it on the big screen yet. So a lot of it has been still very virtual. But it is still so exciting. Like, you know, we got a message today that we were featured in Time magazine, and like we've been in all these different publications where we're just like, I feel like just every day our mind is blown a little bit more that we won't come down from this high for a while, which is great.
See, I didn't even know that we've been featured in Time magazine.
There you go. Surprise.
Keep up.
Caroline, how is it hitting you?
Yeah, same as the ladies. I'm very much sort of at the start. It was like a real shock to the system, just because I mean I think most of us didn't even use Twitter at the start, and then within a day we were just sort of like thrown in, and we were having like thousands of notifications coming at us, and we were like, what do we do? But then we figured it out with the help of Emma, because Emma's slightly more tech savvy than the rest of us.
Yeah. That's a slight, by the way.
But no, it's been really nice, and it's been so lovely, and the support from everyone's just been like overwhelmingly delicious. So it's been really fun. But then at the same time, I was doing yoga with my 2-year-old nephew today, and it seems like it's a very much normal life at the same time. It's this real juxtaposition of like, it's really unique. It's a very unique experience, which is really cool.
It's so grounding too, and it's funny to see Gemma in the same place where she's recorded the film. It's just she's like, check it out in the light. It's weird to see it like not in candlelight. So it's interesting because really I feel like it's changed the game. It's changed the game in cinematic ways because of the length of it. I mean, I really think that there's going to be so many films that are less than 60 minutes, you know, less than 90 minutes, and especially for women-led horror, because it is centrically you ladies. And we're dropped right in the middle. We don't have a backstory. We don't know how you met in camp. We don't know, you know, what you ate this morning. We don't know any of that. We're just really dropped into your your relationship in that. And I think that's fantastic because everyone just carried their piece and we knew exactly who you were so well by the close of it. And that's, you know, as it gets going and it's faster. And those of you who have not seen the movie yet, I implore you to leave the chat at this time. But just to see it and the pace when it gets going, it doesn't stop, and it just makes you feel for absolutely all of you that are involved in it, and it's fantastic to witness. And this is the first foray into horror for some of you, right? Is it for everyone? That's the first peek into doing horror.
I think it's the first for all of us. No one's done a horror before.
Horror. I did Doom Annihilation, which has kind of got gore in it, but it wouldn't be classified as a horror. It's like a sci-fi. I mean, the Doom games are quite gory, but
what was it about this project that was an absolute yes when you were first presented to it? I mean, outside of working with people that you're close with, what about the story was like, yeah, I got to be involved in this?
I mean, I love the guys so much. I was going to say yes, no matter what. But like when I read it, I was like, I couldn't stop reading it. I was like, oh my, like what's going to happen next? Like they're really, really good at keeping you. It's like you see in the final film, like it's like, oh, like you have to know what's going to happen. So it was really, really exciting for me.
Yeah, for me it was definitely the team. Yeah, as like, because we've all worked with Rob and Jed and Douglas before, so we knew that the product was going to be good anyway. And then when we found out about the story, I personally was excited because I've never done anything like this before, and I like a challenge. So I was like, okay, this is going to be insanely difficult to make, but I'm like super interested. But yeah, it's just I have an undivided trust in the team, in the creative team behind it, and also the fact that I get to act with my friends, which was amazing. That was also a big plus for me.
Anyone else?
Yeah, and it was in lockdown as well. Sorry, and it was in lockdown, and we all knew probably going to be a while until we film anything else as well. For me, anyway.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all the things for me, like working with the amazing team behind the camera, working with these amazing ladies on camera, the idea that we were all sort of sitting at home and then this project comes at us and it's like, well, yeah, I mean, it sounds amazing. Then also hearing about all of the individual elements that everyone had to do, like all the stunts and all the layers of it on that was just so exciting. So I think the fact that it was horror and it has all of those different elements within it, I think appealed more in terms of the level of excitement, because we got to really get our teeth in, as opposed to if we were doing like, I don't know, a rom-com or something like that, you wouldn't have had that level of kind of intricacy in the doing stunts and all that kind of stuff. So there was definitely that added layer of, I'm going to say deliciousness again because that's in my head and I don't know why.
Such a good word though. It's the adjective. Hashtag deliciousness. It's fine.
Deliciousness.
Delicious. Before you had filmed this, had you done a seance before together? I think that's something that Rob had alluded to, that you had done this before to see how you would react in this space. What was that like in that space before really filming it?
Yeah, we did. So we I think what was one of the first things when we were told that it was going to be the premise was Zoom seance. So they had the guys kind of set it up so we could all jump on a call with an actual medium, just so that we would know, okay, this is what is going to be said. This is kind of how you act. Like this is, if you for my character, I supposedly have done these many times. So it's like, it's helpful to know what the actual way of doing it is, so we don't get a bunch of backlash from people being like, this is completely fake. But then in the seance, I think is where they pulled a lot of the ideas for the actual film, because pre that it was probably a really rough outline. And then some things happened, I know, to Gemma. I don't know if you want to comment on them, Gemma.
So I had a book fall off my shelf during the seance and I jumped up like in the film, but I started crying because I'm so scared. And then immediately was like, trying to keep my face like this because I was like, don't cry on camera, don't cry, you're your friend, don't cry, you're cool, like you're calm. And then I was like, hi guys, yeah, can we just wind it down please? And then the medium just cut off the seance, and then we were all like, well, that's it then, we're all haunted. And we actually have not officially ended the seance, so you guys are now all part of it by proxy. But yeah, it was, and I think
her internet connection just literally went down, and she couldn't get back. So it was like, and
then Rob told us all this stuff about her, like with a man living in her wall or something, like, and her children being pulled out of bed, and we were like, please stop, this has to end.
Have any of you done a seance just outside of this film? What's your dabbles with the occult outside of this?
I would like to stay firmly away and just.
Yeah, I have never done anything like this before.
I've done readings. I have a friend who, she's not a trained medium, or she's a trained medium, but she's not a medium. So she's done readings for me before. And I used to live in LA, and there is a store on Ventura Boulevard that has like psychics and kind of lots of crystals and things like that I've been to before. And I find it really fun and interesting. So, and then when I was a kid, I would do seances with the Ouija board, which apparently was a terrible idea.
Yeah, does light other stuff as a board count?
Definitely.
Oh. Yeah, is that limited only to the craft, or am I?
Oh, it was every Saturday night when we were little.
The Ouija game. Yeah. Parker Brothers.
Yeah.
That's their kings of the occult. And you had touched on it, Carolyn, earlier, the physicality of the film, because it's all of you are running and doing something and having all of these bits of physicality. I know Haley falling right on your face, being dragged through the door. What was that like? How difficult was that during quarantine? When you have stunts during, particular, regular movies where there's a huge crew and you're training and there's stunt coordinators with you and stunt people. How was that for you, all of you, during quarantine, to have to really be your own stunt coordinator and break those bits up?
We actually had, we got really lucky, because we're all based in the UK, and when we were in lockdown here, I think had it slightly lifted about a day or two before we did our first day of filming. So we were able to have the incredible team from Lucky Strike Action come over with Nathaniel and Matt. So they came to Regina's house first, and then they came over to my house to help me with my stunts. So they brought a crash mat, they patted me up so I was completely safe, and as well as them being like full PPE, gloves, mask, the whole thing. So we could stay far enough apart, but they could also then have me be protected. So I was able to fall on my face and get dragged out a doorway. And then Regina, you probably want to talk about your experience.
Yeah, well, my death, spoilers, my death was actually not me. It was my stunt double, Anna, and then Jeannie was the other stunt double. They're both from Lucky 13 Action. They came at like 8 o'clock in the morning, because that Alan's death, actually the fall from the top, from the ceiling, that was also a stunt double, Nathaniel. And it was so fun doing that, the whole scene, the whole morning, that experience. I've never done anything like this before. So yeah, they came at around 8 o'clock in the morning. They started building the rigs. As Haley said, they were all wearing gloves, masks, like full PPE. So we weren't allowed to touch them. I couldn't even give them water, nothing. We stayed as far away as possible. And then Nathaniel had to stay on the ceiling. So basically 2 guys would pull them up with a rope, and he had to stay on the ceiling, sort of like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. While I am having a 3 or 4 minute take, while Rob is directing me via Zoom, right? He's like, okay, go around the corner. Yeah, okay, so yeah, you're talking on your phone. Okay, now notice that your oven is smoking. Oh shit, our oven is smoking. Okay, and then and then all this time, Nathaniel was like, waiting for the cue to fall. Yeah, so he did that, I don't know how many times, 8 or 9. He was incredible, just incredible team, incredible guys. So yeah, it was a lot of fun doing that.
I think of what I feel the most, and everyone's, you know, everyone's arc with that, and the physicality and the horror of like the deaths, again, spoilers, that happen throughout that. I have to say my heart goes out to Caroline's is the most painful one for me, because every, like, I am Caroline through anything that happens like that. My nerves were shot 20 minutes in, and then just when she has her hands over her head, I was like, I feel it. I totally I feel everything that's happening. Yours seemed particularly brutal. What was that like for you? What was your directive for that? Just completely full-fledged go into it? What was that? What did it even sound like?
I mean, it was like it was really fun. I absolutely love filming it because I got to apply my own prosthetics, and so I got to learn the process of doing the makeup, which was really fun. Like, I'd never done that before. So Dan Martin, the FX artist, he made the pieces, got them sent over, taught me how to apply them and everything like that. So that was really fun. So I got to do that side of it, which added that extra layer of deliciousness. But then I got to the sort of like the physical stuff with that was figuring out the, because like the first time that I sort of kind of come at the screen, that was, I think the take that they used was me sort of like dive bombing across my room onto my bed like a million times. So I had my laptop in the corner, and then I'm literally just jumping at the bed, which was really fun because obviously I'm landing on my like massive mattress, so that was great. But then the rest of it was sort of it was just like little sort of like issues that we had, whereas in like sort of a normal film set you wouldn't have those things. So it was things like the chair that I was sitting on kept, because I've got a wooden floor, kept rolling back. So every time I go forward, my chair would go back, and then it would just wouldn't quite feel right. So then yeah, it was just kind of like the dynamics of figuring that out, as well as then like ramping up in terms of performance. So there were a few things happening at the same time throughout the day that we filmed that, but it was like such a fun experience. And there were 4 of us on the Zoom call that day, and it was just like, yeah, it was really, really fun. And then as soon as we finished shooting, I had to like take all of the makeup off and then jump on a rehearsal with the girls, like, and pretend nothing had happened, because they didn't know, like, we didn't know any of each other's deaths, because everything was redacted from the script. So I had to just pretend it was like completely normal. So that was really fun.
I don't know how I'd feel about seeing that the first time.
Yeah.
I'd freak out a little bit. Especially just Emma, your section of it, because we see most of you in your cell, in your Zoom cell, is really almost just watching the rest of everyone's deaths play out a little bit. And how, for you in that isolation, was it for you to kind of feel that scene? Was there anything that you needed to particularly hold on to? Was it anything that you were focused on during that particular piece?
I mean, we were really lucky in this film because we actually, you know, like, we got to see what was happening more or less live. So the really horrible bits that we had to react to were pre-filmed for all of it, I think, basically. So when it came to that, I literally could watch on the screen what was happening. So I had to do less imagination and less of that, and I could just be really present and see what's happening and then go from there, which was really nice, actually, because you don't normally get that for screen and film. You get that a lot for theatre because obviously someone's opposite you, but that was a really helpful aid. And it was quite tiring. Like, we did long days, and it was like a normal shoot in a lot of different, like, in ways like that. It was a long day. So, but I mean, that's the job. You get tired and you keep pushing through, and you find something new to get sad about, and it will set me off.
Let's focus. Is there anything that's in the movie that was more ad-libbed or non-scripted that you found worked better, or things that you just kicked in and added outside of that, rehearsing it over and over, that you thought might work better, that ended up in the film?
So the actual structure of the scriptment was, so Rob, Jed, and Gemma sent across they called it a scriptment. So it was sort of like the arc of everything that was happening. So it was the this is happening, that's going to happen. And then in terms of the dialogue, that was improvised. So we would go through all of that ourselves. So we recorded like various takes of each one, and then we didn't know what was going to actually make it into the final film. So that was cool to watch it for the first time, because we didn't know which moments would make it in. But yeah, so sorry, you go.
No, finish.
Oh, and then I was going to say Hayley's sneeze would be a particular moment, because that was. Do you want to talk about the sneeze, Hayley?
I mean, I wish I could say I could sneeze on command, but I'm not able to master that yet. But that was just a good take, I think, of everybody seeing each other really well. That I like all the freak out things that were happening physically to me then ended up just like triggering a sneeze, and it worked really well, because everyone kind of tried to be serious still, like, oh, are we gonna cut, are we gonna not? And then we all just busted out laughing, because it was such a ridiculous thing to happen in the moment. But I love that it made the cut. And I think Rob even said as soon as it happened, he was like, that's going in the final film, done.
Yeah, and like just following on to what Caroline was saying, like we would do the same scene. Obviously, we'd have an A point and like a B point. You start the scene here, and then the scene's going to end with Teddy leaving, say. So like we'd do that same scene, A to B, and it would just be completely different each time. So like Caroline was saying, we had no idea what the final film was going to be like, because we did so many alternate versions of the same thing. So it was funny.
I think that's really, really exciting for all of it, because it's, as a viewer, you know, coming into it, and I'm someone that I spend 70 hours of my week on Zoom. So I was very interested as to how this was going to work. And it was just, everything that you had done was so well put together, and everything was so very, very believable as to like where your bond was, where your friendship was. And, you know, there's always one person, and I put this question to Rob and Jed before. There's always and you'll forgive me, but I absolutely adore you, but there's always a Gemma in the group that is that is the one that is, you know, is always about mischief and not, you know, taking things very serious. Would you say any of you is similar to Gemma's character in the movie?
I think we've all got a bit of Gemma in us. Like sometimes I'm a Gemma, but I mean, Gemma, are you even like that in real life? A bit.
Enough tequila, probably.
But
But
plain shot.
it's fun. It's always fun to play the villain or like the anti-hero.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually really enjoy those characters where you get to twist the knife in a little bit, and you get to sort of challenge the authority or what the stakes are in the group, and then you get to sort of pull back. And she's kind of sociopathic in a way, you know, faking someone's death is sociopathic to get attention, and it's only a reflection of like, actually she's mischievous, but actually it's because she's incredibly lonely. And I think she's trying to be loud and direct everyone else's attention to what is actually going on inside of her. But yeah, she's a funny character to play.
I adored her.
Lots of fun.
I absolutely adore her. Even just with the arc in that, where she is almost, you know, basically heading towards hero territory at the end, where she goes to basically rescue Hayley to see what's going on. The wine bottle scene, how was that to shoot? Because that, like, there's a little glitch in the film there, which Zoom does anyway. How was that to shoot with just it almost flying at you, and then the reactiveness of waking back up after that knockout?
Well, that was at Hayley's house, and Hayley and her partner Kieran are just the best human beings. Like, you know, they had to keep the house entirely clean. We had Nathaniel again, who was stunt coordinating, and we had a paramedic outside, and there was 8 sugar glass bottles that were smashed into my head. I've dealt with like glass. I did a film called Jack Ryan with Kenneth Branagh, and there was like glass in my face, but I've never actually had the impact of it. And it actually feels like, you know, a plastic bottle. Mm-hmm. If someone, you know, like when, I don't know if anyone's got an older brother here, but my older brother used to whack me on the head with a plastic bottle. and it is kind of like that. And it was actually okay. And the fall, you know, Nathaniel, you know, taught me how to fall properly, and then Hayley had to come in afterwards, and I couldn't help, so I had to stand in the corner of the room and direct Hayley as she cleaned the apartment every single time. So it was really fun and really cool to do, and you know, I don't recommend everyone do it, but I recommend if anyone wants to go into performing, you know, any form of stunt training or physical, anything to do with dance and stuff will really help you with those kind of things, because I know all of us were pulling on our dance backgrounds, or if we've done like any martial arts of any kind, even if the most basic. But yeah, it was one time he got me in the ear, and I think that's the final shot that's in it, right, Hayley? And then yeah, and then at the end, all you get is like, there's a laptop and it's behind the other side of the sofa. That's why it glitches, because when I fell over on that one, I think the stunt mat pulled forwards, and you've just got like these two little squares of Rob and Douglas Cox, our producer, and then you just see a little thumb go up on my side just to make sure I'm still alive. Yeah, it was fun.
Very important. Any projects that you ladies can talk about that you're working on now, and production? Anything that's coming down the pike for any of you? Caroline and Radina, anything that you have coming up?
Yeah, so me and Gemma have a production company together, and our short film, a comedy short film called Stalling It, is currently in a couple of festivals. So we've had 2 in the US and 1 in London. So we're on the festival circuit at the moment, so it's very different to host. Thanks. It's really exciting. Every time we get an email saying that we're in another festival, we like text each other and we like do a little dance. So it's really nice. So I think, yeah, that's one of the things going on.
Yeah, we do a lot of email driven productions, and same as Hayley. Hayley's got you know, her film in, I think you're holding back, Hayley, right, for film festivals.
Yeah, we just signed up actually to start putting that out. I think within the next like month or so. I did a film last year that we had to hold off of releasing, the 1-800-D-Direct. That's a comedy, a little different. It's on horror this time. That'll be kind of going out into the festival with scenes too, and then I've been developing that into a TV series as well. So we're trying to kind of in the writing process for a few things, which is a new adventure but very exciting.
Can I just say, I'm really proud of all of you for doing that. Like, that's so cool, and like I really look up to you all. Sorry, Radina.
Oh no, it's okay. I was gonna say I have something coming up. It's a short film. It's not gonna be a horror, but it's someone that I've worked with before, a producer that I've worked with before, and I really respect her and admire her. And my character is very interesting, and it's something that I've never played before, and I think I'm gonna get to speak in a few languages, which I'm also super excited about. So yeah, we're gonna start rehearsals, I think, next week. I can't really talk more about it, but yeah, I'm super excited to be involved in that.
I've just been confirmed as Gwen Stacy for Marvel, so. I'm lying. But we do have a film coming out called Multiplex, which Jed, who co-wrote on Host, wrote, and we're all in it, which is exciting.
And Emma's the lead, the star. No,
love it.
Oh, good.
Awesome job.
We've got something coming out with Shudder, I think, next year. Well, we just started, so it's quite like, I can't say anything more. End of.
Right, we'll just edit out. We'll do it in the post. Take it out in post. I'm actually going to turn it over to our audience. There's a few questions here in the chat. So I wanted to start with my participants that had questions. What I'm going to have you do when I call on you, I just want you to open up your cam and your mic. That way you can ask the ladies directly. So I'm going to start with Palash had a question first. So if you want to go ahead and open up your cam and your mic, go right ahead.
Yeah. Hi. Actually, I think they know me. Like, I was the one who created the quizzes.
Oh, yeah.
So much. Nice to meet you.
Good to
and
meet
I'm
you.
from India, so big thumbs up from India. Shudder is not in India, so I have to watch it illegally. So
We won't tell. You made the quiz. We won't tell.
just don't
Where
tell
in India
Jed,
are you?
okay? You might not know it. Like, it's not a big city. It's a small town. I work in big city, but due to Corona and all, I've gone back to my hometown. So I'm working from home right now.
I'm asking because I've
So
been to
my
India, so maybe I've seen your city, but maybe not.
you have been to India?
Yeah, I went to sorry, totally off topic. I went to Goa, Mumbai,
Yeah, I live
Missouri,
near Mumbai and yeah, where?
Missouri, Hampi,
Yeah,
Missouri.
there is a Missouri and there is a Mysore as well.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
quite complicated. You won't get it.
Okay. Anyway,
So,
love your
anyways,
country.
so yeah, me too. So like coming back to like the questions today on enemy, I heard that like Jed revealed that Jama was like really scared in like one of the trial runs like you did in a seances. So a book fell and she felt a hand or something. So can you just reveal that story? And you even recorded it. So can you ask Jed or like Rob to like share that video? Like they shared that Emma one, like she was like so ashamed of it, but still they shared it. So it might be good to share this one also.
And they showed your video of the seance.
Oh, I thought
No,
you
no,
meant
not the sense,
the Comic
some
Con.
recording or something. Yeah.
Oh, the Comic-Con. I think that the original video will come out, but I don't want to say when because it might be like a surprise that they're doing. So I don't know. But yeah, I was super scared. And basically, so I was like here, and I had like this old Beatrix Potter, like hand, like woven book that my dad had given me. And I just was super scared, and I kept texting Caroline being like, Caroline, I'm really scared, and then Caroline kept cutting out, so she cut out and then left, so she had an excuse because of her internet. And then I just felt like really uncomfortable throughout the whole thing, and there was like lots of noises, and and then when that book fell off, it was like a huge bang, like I just shot up like a rocket and was just like, nope, no. But yeah, it was definitely really weird. And then afterwards, I immediately went on Etsy of all places and bought like Palo Alto and sage and was like, okay, gotta get this demon out of my house. And so I did that actually before. And then during the seance, because we all thought that the medium in Salem Baxter was a real medium, so I kept sage in the house, and also because my windows were blacked out, I couldn't open them, so I was basically setting tiny bonfires in my house every day after filming until someone told me that Palo Santo is better. So yeah, it was really scary. And I know that some of the girls, girls, put your hand up, who believes in the not supernatural, but like weird like spirits and stuff. Yeah, we all, well, apart from Regina. Regina's the gem.
Yeah, we all know Caroline also does. Caroline does. Yeah, we all know that. And like, I just wanted to ask that you had this experience, but it was like completely different from your character. Your character
Yeah.
was like totally like I don't believe in this. Like Haley is doing some such bullshit and all. We should do something else and all that. But look, so how was like this like? You had this experience in like going into that character who like totally denies it. How did you build up to that? Like how did you like approach that?
I just thought of the, like, you know, I don't want to like, I just thought, it's when Mo was saying, like, we all have that one friend. None of the friend that I'm about to talk about is in this group, but I have a friend that's very much like that, and I just took bits of, you know, it's a dude, and I just took bits of their like egomaniac sort of very misogynistic, but I kind of turned it into like that girl meanness is a different ball game sometimes to the way guys are and how ego plays out. So I kind of used that and I twisted it in a way that was like, in a Zoom chat, sometimes you can say things that another person will hit a nerve straight away, and actually the other people won't even notice what's going on. So I kept trying to use little sentences, and Haley would text me afterwards and be like, Gemma, you were a right bitch in that one. So yeah, it's more like picking out little things from people. We all have those friends. And also I've actually got a bit braver since, you know, we had to watch horror clips before we went into takes, and they were, you know, or into the most scariest bits, and we were watching them with the lights out. And to start with, again, I was like this, and I muted up my laptop until I saw someone come up in their square. So I was still scared, but actually by the end of it, I'm getting a little bit more brave now. And like, I just, you know, just started watching Hellraiser, and I'm watching a few more like horror films, and I'm actually really loving it. I think I was scared to like horror to start with anyway, and this is my journey through being the character as well, because I was scared that if I liked gory, scary things, I would be like, who am I? I was like, this is scary, like, how could I like it? But actually, I think as it went on, to answer your question, I got a lot more braver, and, you know, acting opposite like Haley, Emma, Regina, Caroline made it really easy to be a bitch. I'm joking.
I love it. Thank you, Palash. I thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
just 1 second. I'm a big fan of Emma. Like, just a silly question. Like, I've asked this question before, but she told me that she'll answer it in a Q&A, and I won't get a better opportunity than this. So just 1 second. Can I proceed?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Emma, so like in the movie, there was like a quote was written in a plaque above your door, and no matter how much I zoom in, it was just dreams. I could only see dreams. So what was that quote?
So it says, "Go confidently in the direction of your dreams." That's what it says.
Okay.
I wish it was something more interesting.
Right. Super poignant. It's really great. Thank you. Oops, sorry. Go ahead. You're muted yourself. You're muted.
I was just saying that I took out of that movie, I just took this, like, I just loved this part, and I just couldn't get like what was written in that. I was so curious, and so
Now
yes,
you know.
thank you. Man.
Now you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Thanks.
but yeah, okay.
Thank you, Palash. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the quiz.
Thanks. I have a question from, I don't know your real name, but you are listed as Natty Boo Boo. So welcome.
Sorry, I was one of the naughty ones. I forgot to change my name. Sorry.
It's all right.
I like it.
Hey guys, can I firstly just say how incredible you all were? I watch a lot of horror films, and this was the first time genuinely in ages that I was quite unnerved by one. So
Yay.
congrats, kudos to your mad skills. My question is, were any of you genuinely scared whilst filming?
I was when we turned the cameras off and had to go to bed, and still now, like, I have the lights on because it's in my bedroom. It's like I look at the doorway and I'm like, ugh. But while we were actually filming, there were moments I certainly jumped. The minute when Haley's chair comes out, no one told us that was going to happen, and so our reactions are real. And I like bits like that. It does for a little second you forget. You're like, whoa, that was for me.
I was more scared while we were doing the research before we started filming, because our director Rob Savage asked us to watch the Blair Witch Project and also Paranormal Activity 3. So that research got me really scared. I slept like 4 hours that night. But like during filming, no, it was a very it was challenging, but it was a very pleasurable process. And we're all friends, and it was more of like a creative thing. Like, okay, let's make this work, rather than, I never felt like I have ghosts in my house, but that's me. I'm a skeptic. Yeah. What about you guys?
I would say I had to do a lot of creeping around my house in the dark. And as much as I'd like to admit I was really brave doing that, there were points when I'd like open our closet and it was really dark in the back, and you'd just be like, please be nothing there, please be nothing there. We're fine. And there's one scene at the end, I don't know if you remember the very, very end, when Gemma is walking down my hallway and finds me under the desk, and then turns back and you see like stuff fall out again in the chair. Stuff falling out was actually me in the closet while my partner was operating the camera as Gemma's body double because of COVID restrictions. And so I had to stand in a dark closet pushing stuff out, and I was definitely like, I'm not comfortable with this. Why is this out right now? So that I would say those views were a little scary.
I did have another moment where my phone, which we used to film on, was on a tripod right here, and it just randomly started ringing the police, and I was over the other side of the room. It was filming. I left it on film and it said go. I walked to the other side of the room. I heard whoop, whoop, which is like the emergency phone thing when it just dials the police. And I got a woman on the line like, hey, it's the police in Cambridge. Can I help? Can I help? And I'm like, oh.
Potentially.
It upset me. I didn't like that.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Natty Boo.
Thank you, Natty
Hey,
Boo.
Natty Boo Boo.
Have you got a candle? Have you got a candle on?
Naturally.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh,
Love it.
Amazing.
little ambiance. Our next question is from Sam. So Sam, go ahead and open your mic, your cam. Ask your question.
Hey everybody. Well, first to echo everyone else, I think the film's great and all of you are fantastic in it. But I was wondering what it was like for all of you as actors to play off of each other virtually as opposed to in person.
There were moments actually when we were filming and you know, like on a Zoom call, and people we're improvising, and there were moments where like people would be trying to talk at the same time, and you kind of missed what they said and that kind of thing. And there were lines in the film which I didn't hear people say when we were filming, which were in the film. I was like, oh my god, I don't even hear you say that. But again, you kind of can see everybody's faces, so I mean that was probably an advantage. I mean, obviously you can when you film anyway, but you can see, like, I don't know. I liked it. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think the energy is very different. Like I would prefer to have a live person next to me because it's just, you can feel what's going on. While in a computer, you're still kind of in your own home, in your little safe zone, your comfort space. And I mean, we were very lucky. I was very lucky because like all of them are like incredible actresses, right? So it's on that side. It was never, you know, it was never bad, but it's just, it takes away a little bit from the energy. So I feel like you kind of have to tune up a little bit more from yourself. Be like, okay, I need to really focus and get in the zone because like, that's all I have. All I have is a screen. And yeah, it was, I really loved it. I really, really loved the challenge. But yeah, the girls made it less of a challenge because they're fucking awesome. But yeah, what about you guys? Haley, Caroline, Gemma?
I actually found it really fun. It was like theatre. It kind of cut out that get back to your trailer, touch your makeup, wait for everyone around. There was such quick turnovers that you were like, if you were coming off one take, you could just be like, okay, I'm gonna try a different tactic this time and see where it takes that. And you know, and then another time, and it was actually like, you know, everyone was saying these girls we all trained at Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. They're hot shit on, you know, most anything. Improv is something I've never done as much, but you know, all these girls are so like got it in their back pocket. So it was actually really fun to be like live and almost like hot seating your ideas, you know, just because you'd be like, okay, go. Rob would be like, go straight again, go. And Rob likes taking lots and lots of takes. So within one take on your phone, before you press stop, you'd actually be doing like 6 in between. So you could just utilize your Nyx tactic, your Nyx like anything. And it was actually liberating, and it was like doing theatre. And it was like, you know, when you're in your, I don't know, are you an actor, Sam?
No.
Okay, I was about to say, have you ever done, you know, when you're in theatre and you're doing those quick, you know, person goes in the middle, the next person touches their shoulder and then performs. It was kind of like, it was like the virtual thing of that. And I don't know, Caroline, did you ever get so into acting on screen that you kind of forgot that you were even performing to a screen?
I mean, yeah, like oddly, it didn't feel like, I think potentially because by that point we were so conditioned just in general life, because it had been months of Zoom calls and Zoom communications. By that point, the idea of then acting on Zoom didn't particularly feel like that far of a stretch from normality, because this is normality now. So it was kind of actually just a really, like Jen was saying, it felt like theatre because of the flow of it and the longevity of each take and the improvised side of it. It was really, I found it like really enriching. It was especially like there was one scene where I'm like a bit of a mess, like just before I sort of toddle off. That scene was very much like, I honestly, that acting that over and over with the girls was I honestly think my like favorite acting experience so far, like that I've ever had, because it was just like absolutely every single thing that they were giving me was so like delicious. It was so like, I don't know why that's happening. Maybe I'm hungry. But like everything that they were giving was just like so generous, and they are incredibly generous actresses. So it was an absolute like pleasure. And being on the internet didn't, it maybe added to it. I don't know. What did you find, Hayley?
Yeah, I was going to say the same. Like, I think because we're used to being on Zoom, but also the films, like the real problem in the film is that we are disconnected physically. So being virtually connected to somebody actually helped with the performance, because you couldn't, as your friends are dying in front of you, you couldn't reach out and help them physically. You couldn't touch them. You couldn't save them in any sort of way. So you're just confined to this little screen that it's frustrating, but adds to the kind of this emotions that come out naturally then. And I know, like, I remember Gemma and I and Emma were doing, after the other two had died, and we were like yelling at each other and sobbing and having to cry. And I remember just after every take, we would text each other to be like, "You're doing so good, babe. Like, I'm so proud of you. Like, this is amazing. Like, thank you for being such a giving actor." Because I will say, like, all four of these women, and then Teddy, when he would come on, like, were really on top of their game when they were filming. There was no one who was like half-assing anything. Sometimes you can, even like on set, if you're doing a scene but the camera's on you and your other actor is off screen, they don't necessarily have to give like a full-on performance. They just need to read lines, because the editor's going to cut that bit out. Because we're constantly on screen together, and just the nature of our friendship and the talent behind everybody involved, like, every scene was intense and on point and at an emotional level that it needed to be in. So it made it really easy to react off. And you didn't also want to disappoint your fellow actor by being like lazy, essentially. So it was really different and interesting, but actually very enjoyable to film something this way in this genre and through this story.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Shelly, go ahead and open your cam and ask your question. I think she's on. Shelly? Hello?
Oh, I think she's gone. I don't see her name.
No.
Oh no, there you are.
She's here. That's okay. We'll move forward. Kelly? There you go.
Hi.
Kelly.
Thanks again,
Hi.
ladies, for being here. This has been great. Mo, thank you for doing an excellent job moderating. So each of your characters has a lot of humanity, and sometimes that can take a back seat to gore and jump scares in the horror genre. So I just want to know, how did each of you find the humanity in the horror of Host and bring that to the screen?
That's Gemma Hurley, our writer. She was the heart of she's a really talented writer, and she wrote the heart into the script, which each of us had a moment, I think, to tie in the humanity, and then we all used that as our kind of like hook in. Hayley?
Yeah, I think I guess one of the things we always found interesting about the way that Rob and Jed and Gemma, our writers, all created is the kind of created archetypes for everyone's character. So we all, we each have our specific role to play throughout the story, but then it was grounding the character in, their belief system and something, like I know it didn't really make the cut in the end, but there's like between Gemma and mine characters who are kind of at each other's throats the whole time. There's a moment that we filmed at the end that she reveals that she's, been feeling really lonely and having trouble and really struggling through quarantine, and then my character as well, and they kind of come together. And so that was always bubbling under the surface for everything we were doing. And I think like Caroline, your character was probably very worried about their parents. I don't know if you elaborate on that.
Yeah. So we had we each had like different layers of kind of backstory going on. So so I had the sort of the layer of the concern of kind of the pre-existing sort of fear about the virus and everything like that, and the reason that we're in this sort of lockdown situation, and then living with my dad and things like that. But there was also another storyline of that me and Teddy at some point were together, and we had this like whole like history planned out together. And in the film, I think it comes across in like there's one line, but I think it's all of those kind of the background work that we did to flesh out these like real people, to make them have those small nuances. Like I think that potentially maybe adds to it. And I mean, I think like all actors do this with every film, but it's nice kind of when you get to see that work come to fruition in like a tiny little moment, like that a lot of people won't even notice, but when like as a team you've all put that work in together, it's really nice to see it, and you're like, oh, that works. Like, and that, I think that's nice. How about you, Emma and Medina? How did you find?
For me, it was you guys. Like, we've all worked together before, and we're friends. So it was kind of, I don't know, because we're not exactly playing ourselves in the film. So it wasn't as simple as just turning on the cameras and going, we're just being ourselves. But just, I don't know, it helped that we had all that rehearsal and Gemma's amazing writing and everyone's writing, but also just everybody's heart. I feel like I know you guys, and I know, I feel like I know you like that. So I think that was easier for us to draw that out of each other a bit.
Yeah, no, I agree with all the girls. We did have meetings with Rob before we will start the filming to talk about character. And because in real life we are good friends and we do care for each other very deeply, but we actually get on, and that would be very boring to watch if there's no conflict and if there's no drama. So for my character was the whole idea that she rushed into this, to move in with her boyfriend because of lockdown. She finds comfort in alcohol and like wants to party. So it's a sort of, she's not a happy person. She's not happy where she's at. She's looking for these things to feel something. But I think the fact that these girls are my friends, and the humanity, as you said, it shows there, because I believe the character as well, I took this from myself, but like the character as well cares for these people, and these are her friends, so she would do anything for them, like even though she feels, she just finds again some comfort in them. But it was just incredible to act with all you girls. I love you so much.
I think that's why people stay on, like we all stayed on as well. In the pandemic, everyone is feeling lonely and is so desperate for that connection with human beings, and people ask us, well, why didn't you just end Zoom? And it's like, well, no, because we're literally grabbing onto that moment of like this thin connection that we have with us, and that is the reason why we stay. It's because we're all very, very close friends, and we're lonely, and it's only a reflection of what is actually happening real time in the world, and everyone's so desperate to just be with one another. And if digital is the only way, we're actually incredibly lucky. It's better than nothing.
Amen. Thank you,
Thank you very
Kelly.
much. And Gemma, thank you for acknowledging Gemma Hurley's contribution to the script and story. She's somebody who has flown under the radar, sadly, as often happens to women, especially in the horror genre. So for those who do not know, Gemma Hurley is one of the screenwriters alongside Robin Jed, and she deserves so much credit. Thank you, ladies.
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. We have one more question. Shelly, I believe Shelly was just having some technical difficulties, but she's ready to go. So
Yeah,
go ahead, Shelly.
with children.
You were snacking, weren't you? You were definitely going for a snack.
Oh,
You'll be there.
It's homeschooling here today. I guess I'm piggybacking on the vibe of all of your answers to Kelly's question, which is, where do you think we can go now as artists and creatives and performers and writers and directors? Different countries are going to have different production standards, and many of us are going to be locked down possibly for the rest of the calendar year. I have stuff in production that's been postponed indefinitely. What are you wanting to draw on emotionally as artists or creators? Where are you wanting to take the next story from? Where do you think we can go with it?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Or what do you want to see done given the limited tools we have?
I would love to see as many filmmakers, especially maybe people who haven't necessarily had the means to do it before, just give it a go. And like, I think this film was just us all really giving it a go, and I think hopefully it opens doors for people to think, oh, I can. And I think if there's someone watching who's like, I'd love to make films, but just try and do it now. This is a golden opportunity because we're all in a very similar boat, and like, just do what you can with what you've got, and you may be really surprised with what you come out with.
Yeah, I think I wanna actually quote Rob Savage on this, because he said this. He gets a lot of questions like, "Oh, what's your advice to young filmmakers, or like just any advice in general?" And he says that look at what you have available right now to you and make a film out of that. Don't wait for the golden opportunity. Don't wait until all the stars are aligned. Don't wait for what you think you need to do the film. Just use what you've got right now and tell the story. And it's so true, and it's really inspiring, that piece of advice, but it's very true. Because I've been stuck in a situation where I've been waiting to send that email. I've been waiting to, oh, I'm not ready for this yet, or I'm gonna wait one more month, and maybe and it is just, I haven't done myself a favor by doing that. So I've been in that situation. I think he's so right. So yeah, it is a challenge. It's a big challenge, but I think we should, as artists, as creatives, we should try to see what the advantages of the situation are, and try to make it work in our favor, as hard as that might be, but try to do something with that.
Yeah, I'd say one of the interesting things I always found about Host was that we took kind of what Radine was saying, a challenge that we have to shoot something over Zoom, we can't be together, and tried to write a story that fit into it, or tell a story that used the medium of Zoom, or used your iPhones, used kind of things that we had at our disposal, and had to get really creative and push ourselves to the point of like my partner rigging up the chair and our taking the bag of ropes we have in the closet and rigging up a chair and going, this could make something look scary if we can pull you across the room, and utilizing your friends that are really talented, or finding people who are really talented who are also not working, or also waiting for the next project that can be shot physically, and see if they want to have a play. I think I've noticed just from even like chatting to people on Twitter and Instagram and stuff, there's so many people, and I think it's really common of artists especially, that we just love what we do. We get to play pretend most of the time, or we get to make things and draw and color, essentially, even if color is on, color grading a film, that are really hungry to work right now or do anything creative. We always need that creative outlet. That'll be very interesting to see if people can kind of adjust story to fit the medium we have right now, rather than trying to push it to the extreme levels that we always do in Hollywood and and major filmmaking where it's got to have explosions and beautiful landscapes and all the props and things. I mean, most of us are filmmakers, and I'm guilty as charged of being like, cool, we're going to make an entire set that's 1960s in a room and like do all that. But then you because we could, but now it's kind of going like, okay, well, let's scale it down, and what kind of interesting stories can we tell that are simpler and maybe more beautiful in ways, because they don't need to be, you don't need flashy camera equipment right now. And I know all of us, I think, want to get back to the point we want to be back on set. We want to have the flashy equipment again. But in the interim, to just try and like push yourself and challenge yourself to be creative, knowing that this is not going to be forever. Like we're in the UK, and Europe and the UK is doing a bit better than the US as far as lockdown goes and filming capabilities, just because we did have a lot stricter guidelines and people are wearing their masks and following orders in the way. And so knowing that that's going to happen in the US and North America and other countries that are maybe a little bit farther behind, like eventually we'll come out of this period. And wouldn't it be great to try and like really push your creativity? And if it means that you have to pause things for a few more months, another 6 months, even like a year, you can still find something beautiful to do in that time, even if it's just a small scale 2-minute short film. I don't know if you got, Gemma, if Caroline, you guys got those opinions as well.
Just be kind on yourself. Like just, you're going to see like people, doing this, doing that, and you have to be really kind to yourself and speak kindly. Have, understand that these are unforeseen circumstances on so many levels. And then once you've processed that, and because you're probably mourning, you said you were going to go into production, right? And now that's unforeseeable. So you're going to mourn that, because you're creative, you love what you do. So allow time for yourself to mourn that. And you were saying you've got kids, right? And they're at home. That's tough too. That's really tough. I nanny like part-time. Our kids are about to go back to school, and I couldn't be happier, to be quite honest with you. Goodbye. But you're a mum. You were going to go into production, and you've got kids at home. Find little things at home. I think I do little sewing. I just made a terrarium this morning. Let creative outlets come in those ways. And I think you don't have to go from 0 to 100, like Kaylee was saying. Start small. It could even be that you start sewing these little weird creatures. Like, I won't show you mine because they're terrible. But me and my kid, the kid that I nanny, we started making stop motion videos from them, and even something that small can then get bigger and bigger, and there's that old famous saying, what is it, about Jaws, where they had all those limitations, but they also had a nice hefty budget. But I just think, start small, remember why you started creating when you were a kid, be kind to yourself, and things will flow in that way. I mean, I think it's Julia Cameron does The Artist's Way, and she starts like that, and then once you're back on that horse, by the time you even know it, you're going to be back on set, and you're going to be like using maybe little things that you didn't even realize, because you've now have that space to explore. Caroline?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I also think that there is an element of like, although we're very acutely aware that we have stopped, everybody else has too, and like we feel the pressure of like, oh, my particular thing was cancelled, or this isn't happening because of everything that's going on. But actually, if we're available and we're on, like, I don't know, Twitter and stuff more, then that means that other people are as well. So it could potentially, if it's done in like a nice organic way, and genuinely, it could be a really good time to reach out to people that you've always wanted to, but you never thought that they would ever get back to you because they were too busy, because they're working on these huge projects. They're not working now, so they might be available. And then, like, there was a thing that through Host, I got to take part in last week, and it was something with like people that I honestly I never ever thought I would ever have the chance of working with. And if it wasn't sort of for the sort of situation where we're all on Zoom and all of those people were in their houses, that would never have happened, and I'd never have had that opportunity because I'm not in America. and like it was a nice sort of that was a really nice thing to have come out of something that's really sort of awful for like the world. That sounded so narcissistic. That was a very like I've benefited. That is not what I mean in the slightest.
No, totally makes sense. Totally makes sense.
Okay, good.
Like the worst.
Don't apologize, Caroline. Don't apologize. You can't apologize. Stop
I
it.
keep doing that, but I am I think it is sort of like we all like go through the days, like even since we finished host, I was like, well, I'm putting this pressure on myself, and do you know what, like if you make something one day, then great. If you don't make something the next day, but you took a day for your mental health, or you went for a walk, or like that's what's important, is like staying like grounded and safe and healthy, and then everything else on top of being that, I personally think is a bonus.
Just to add on from what you're literally saying there, I saw a thing today, and it was like, you don't have to make something every day to be a successful artist. Like, you can make one thing a year, you can make one thing every 5 years, and you would still be that same artist. So, and I know I hold myself to like stupid expectations, and like everything I make has to be at least worthy or good enough. But actually, isn't there so much freedom sometimes when you make something just with no expectations, and then sometimes you get something good, and then you get the fun of just making stuff as well.
That's what Julia commented that. Also, you're a mum. Can we just say that you're a mum? Mums are amazing.
And I keep muting myself because my children are running in and out, and I'm like, go away.
You saw mine open the door. It was like, what are you doing, Mom? Like,
pick up your socks. Until you've had kids, you're like, oh, this is why my mum was so angry all the time. It's really annoying.
Best.
Thank you, Shelley. I think that's an absolutely wonderful way to round it out this evening. So I will just to kind of piggyback of what all of you are saying, and everyone else that's still here. We're still living through a pandemic, and we're not working from home. We're trying to work during a global pandemic. So if we can, as your friendly neighborhood cognitive behavioral therapist will tell you, you do have to be kind to yourself. So make sure that you're taking deep breaths, exhaling, and it's okay to say no to stuff. And Caroline, it's okay to feel joy about joyous things and be like, I'm sorry, I'm really joyous when people are having a hard time. Because it's always going to seesaw. Somebody's always going to be up, someone's going to be down. But if we can enjoy the highs and appreciate the highs when we're in our lowest, I think that we're still doing a good job. So I wanted to say,
thank you.
Please hold on to that, all of you. So I wanted to say again, thank you, ladies, so much for taking this time for us as a new women-led horror collective. Like, we are still the new kid on the block. We're still, we're getting some action. There's a lot of really big things happening with us. And I really couldn't be more pleased to have you ladies be the first in our live Q&A. So it's been amazing. I know everybody here that's watched the film has absolutely enjoyed it. Everybody was like, girls from host, I can't deal with it. But it's been lovely, and I wish nothing but the best for your new projects coming up. I hope you guys definitely get rest, have a bubble bath, drink any time of the day. It's a-okay. There are no rules.
I need to give you. Hang on. Yeah.
I've been doing it anyway. But again, I wanted to say thank you, Regina, Haley, Caroline, Emma, Gemma, and also give our best to Gemma Hurley as well. She deserves all the flowers and the attention as well. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you everyone for coming to Nyx Live's inaugural live Q&A 2020 season. We are going to be speaking to a lot more very, very interesting ladies. So I was so happy that you were able to join us today. So thank you.
Thank you
for having us. Very much for having us.
Thank you
everyone for your questions. It was really nice to talk to you all.
Yeah.
Have a great night, ladies, and thank you so much. Do keep in touch. Let us know how you're doing.
Yes, thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Good night, ladies.
Bye.
Bye everyone.